Morning trips. Well, today's video, right, is about the fucking podcast wars going on between James English and Shaun Attwood, right? In the last 2 days, my inbox has been fucking flooded. I'd say about 20 different messages asking my opinion on this so-called war, right? Now, right away, it's two men, they shouldn't be going backwards and forwards online, you know what I mean? They should be just phoning each other, you know what I mean, end of story. But, right, I'm getting asked my opinion because I've been on James's show. I went on that with Oliver, where we spoke about the Wolfpack, and I went on Sean's show, where I went into my life story and a bit about the Wolfpack. I was on a banning order when I was doing Sean's, you know what I mean, so it was a bit different, you know what I mean. But, right, I'll start with James, right. So James is from my scheme, you know what I mean, like, I know some of James's family, and I know of James, you know what I mean. See, like, the bad shit that's been put out about James, I've never heard that. You know what I mean? Like, you've got English people saying that James done this and James done that, right? But see, a postal boy is sitting here right now telling you, I've never fucking heard any of these accusations before. You know what I mean? Never. You know what I mean? Now, I know that James did hit rock bottom, you know what I mean? With gambling and things like that, right? But see, at the end of the day, it's just another addiction, you know what I mean? Like, gambling's just another addiction that is fucking just as bad as heroin, it's just as bad as alcohol, it's just as bad as crack, it's just as bad as fucking any other like addiction you can get. It's probably worse because it's psychological, you know what I mean? Constantly thinking that you can fucking turn that corner, you know what I mean? You can finally fucking beat that bookie, you know what I mean? He overcame that, you know what I mean? That man overcame that. Doesn't he drink now, you know what I mean? Now, he didn't just go for being a broke bum that spent all his fucking money on betting, right? He turned his life around, right? And look at the shit he's done now. Look at the awareness he's raised on fucking homelessness. He went and spent how long out in the fucking cold with the homeless? You know what I mean? Properly done it, no like Bear Grylls, where they fucking kids on his camping at night time and then fucks off the hotel. James wasn't doing that shit. He was sleeping rough, you know what I mean? All sorts of witnesses there to fucking back that up, you know what I mean? So James comes to my house to do the filming. I meet James for the first time, even though, like I say, we are from the same area, so we should have met before. Don't know how we've not met before, but we hadn't met before. Right away, very polite guy, you know what I mean? Like, Jeremy he was fucking proud of the work I'd done and how fucking, like, just basically how there should be more people like me doing what I'm doing kind of thing and all that, you know what I mean? So, and told me he supported the cause 100%, you know what I mean? And like off the camera we were having like a chat that I'm talking about, just fucking waiting on Oliver turning up. And I found him to be a very pleasant fucking guy, you know what I mean? Like a very nice guy, you know what I mean? So we did a podcast and it was more Wolfpack related, you know what I mean? It was more straight about the Wolfpack, you know what I mean? And I had Oliver beside me, you know what I mean? And we were answering questions, you know what I mean? Like side by side, you know what I mean? And it was like a different format, if you know what I'm talking about. It was like a different format for the one I had with Sean. So it was a good podcast. We got the podcast, we got the message that we wanted to get. We got it out there, you know what I mean, about check your range devices. That was the message, you know what I mean. We got it out there, and that was a huge thanks to James, you know what I mean. I don't know how many people watched it, something like 200,000 people, I think, have watched that video, you know what I mean. So that's a huge thanks to James, you know what I mean. And like I say, no bad words to say about the guy. I think he's a role model for people, you know what I mean. He's a role model for anybody that hits the bottom, that you can hit the bottom and get right back to the fucking top, you know what I mean. If you work hard, you'll get back to the top, you know what I mean, no matter what. Like James wasn't born with a silver spoon, you know what I mean. James didn't have money, James didn't come with money and he had like a rich dad that could just fucking buy him out of trouble, you know what I mean. He had to work for every fucking single thing he's got right now. You know what I mean? Like everything. The clothes he's got in his back, to the house he's got, to the camera equipment he fucking uses, you know what I mean? He's had to work his arse off to get that, you know what I mean? And see where he's been working his arse off, he's raised awareness on fucking so important topics, it's unbelievable. He raised awareness on child abuse with us. He raised awareness on the Jodie Jones, Luke Mitchell case. Look at the work he put in there. He raised awareness on the homeless. Again, look at the work he put in there. You know what I mean? The guy has done his part, you know what I mean? And I've not got a bad word to say about James, you know what I mean? I can't say a bad word about the guy, you know what I mean? Because to me, he's a role model for scheme wains about Glasgow, that even if we hit the bottom right, they're still right to the top, and James has gone to the top. He's at like 300,000 subscribers now, so that'll be 5 soon. Soon that'll double to 1 million, you know what I mean? Like I know for a fact, right, and this doesn't even came from James, came from somebody else, that another contact I've made through hunting, right? James was offered a deal. I don't even know if I should say this, but I'll put it in another way, right? So it's no saying completely, but let's put it this way. James has been offered a way out of the podcasts and onto mainstream telly, and he knocked it back because he wanted to have the say in what he didn't want to be censored. That's what it was. He didn't want to be censored. He didn't want to be part of the system, part of the programme, you know what I mean? So he knocked back the chance of mainstream. So like that's just, I don't know if that's true, you know what I mean? That's just came from a source that works for a telly company, you know what I mean? And James was offered that opportunity, you know what I mean? And he knocked it back because he didn't want to be censored. He wanted to keep raising awareness on child abuse. He wanted to raise awareness on homelessness, mental health problems, addiction problems, and that's what he's doing. And that's what he should concentrate on doing. Forget podcast wars, you know what I mean? Especially when it's somebody that's out of your bracket anyway, somebody that discusses other things, you know what I mean? It's like, you don't really have the same, you've not got the same approach, so he's only fucking rivals, you know what I mean? The two of you can coexist, you know what I mean? But that was James. Now we're going to Sean, right? So about a year passes, 2 years past, I get put on a hunting ban, as you all know. And I'm talking with Shaun about going on the podcast and things like that. Shaun's booked us, but then COVID hit, couldn't go. He booked us again, and he's paid for me. And I said, listen, I've got fucking PTSD, like, if I come down to Liverpool myself, I'll probably end up in fucking jail, you know what I mean? And he said, I'll bring somebody with you, you know what I mean? So, I was bringing my missus, but she had worked that day, you know what I mean? So, luckily, our son, like, fucking took time out of his schedule, which is busy, and came all the way down to fucking Liverpool ways. Shaun paid for a hotel because he was travelling, you know what I mean? We stayed in a hotel all night, went to film in the morning. I met Shaun, I was down having a fag, waiting on Shaun to arrive. Shaun crosses the road, right away we shake hands and all that. I find a warm person, and we start talking about like fucking, like, just like basically about Wolfpack stuff. And he's like, oh, it's just disgusting what he's about to put with and all that kind of thing, and just chewing the fat basically, you know what I mean, as we say up here. And he's fucking, I could tell by his face that paedophilia disgusted him, just like I could see in James's face that paedophilia disgusted him. So we got up the stair and we started filming and all that, and like, I was impressed with the research that Shaun had put in, you know what I mean? I was impressed with that, you know what I mean? I've got to say I was impressed, you know what I mean? He knew an awful lot, you know what I mean? And he'd verified an awful lot, and I tell you what, that's a hard thing to do, and the man somehow done it, but he has got a great team behind him, right? Now, Shaun has got a good interview technique as well. It's based towards Americans and the English, you know what I mean? And I'm fucking Scottish, you know what I mean? So, but he'd no problem understanding me and all that kind of thing. Like, again, like James, I don't know Shaun like I know James, right? But for what I know of Shaun, I can't say a bad word about the guy, right? He treated me with the utmost respect, right? He treated the boy that was raised with the utmost respect, you know what I mean? We had a very good fucking podcast. I mean, a very good podcast. I liked the questions he asked and all that, you know what I mean? Didn't shy away from, like, the hard parts and all that, you know what I mean? I found him to be real, you know what I mean? I just found him to be a real person, and I don't understand why like I say, I didn't know the podcast wars, as it's called, had kicked off, you know what I mean? I know that, what's that guy's name? Danny G. I know that Danny G and Marvin Herbert and somebody else was on, and then all shit kicked off, but I don't know nothing about it all, you know what I mean? Like fucking who's on what side and all that, you know what I mean? I'm not interested in it all, you know what I mean? But I know like that's where it all stems from. Something to do with all that, right? Now, I find Darren G's fucking podcast quite good to watch, you know what I mean? Choose a Life Not a Knife is actually a charity set up by a very good pal of mine who about 8 years ago set it up because his son was murdered. His son was a Serbian soldier and he'd just come home on leave and he was murdered outside a nightclub. Stephen Kearney, the man's name is. 25. But no, I met him through the bare knuckle boxing, and he started choose a life, not a knife. You know what I mean? And bare knuckle boxing got behind him and all that kind of shit until like it fell away kind of thing. But I found Marvin's to be absolutely fucking like incredible to watch on, know what I mean? Like I found his story to be very fucking similar to my own, right? In terms of childhood, and that I know that Marvin understands that anger, you know what I'm talking about? I mean, I understand he understands that anger. He knows, you know what I mean? He's one man that knows, you know what I mean? But obviously, he is fucking well known compared. I wasn't well known because I was fucking shipped from shop to shop to shop to shop to shop to shop, you know what I mean? I was never in one place long enough to make a fucking name for myself, you know what I mean? But Marvin did, you know what I mean? And what a fucking name he made. And it's not an enemy you want, you know what I'm talking about? It's just not an enemy you want. You saw that wee guy, fucking Lamar or whatever he's called, something made in England or whatever, tried to hit him in the motor, and then he's got out the motor and all that, and he's talking shit, and Marvin's just sitting there all calm and that. But as soon as that wee guy says, "I'll take your fucking life," how fast did Marvin get that fucking motor and try and get round that motor, and the wee guy fucking scurried off? You know what I mean? Like, Marvin's not a guy you fucking about with. But that's my views on like the Marvin podcast, the Danny G podcast. I don't even know if it was Sean that done the podcast, if it was James that done the podcasts. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know what one I was, you know what I mean? I just remember that, right? But I know that after watching a video this morning that Danny G is like involved in the argument because he was doing a video with Sean and a woman this morning or yesterday or whenever, right? But like, there's just no need for it. I'm not talking about. What needs to happen is, see, instead of the apology videos and all, asking for apology videos, Sean, what to do is, see the defamation lawsuit that you have got against James, just drop it, bro. That is it, I mean, just drop the lawsuit. Don't ask for an apology and all that. You don't need an apology, right? Just drop the lawsuit and move on with your career. You know what I mean? And James, you, mate, just move on with your career. You know what I mean? Because both of yous are fucking... What the two of yous are missing is, the two of yous are absolutely flying. You know what I mean? The two of yous are the top of your game. You know what I mean? Yous are getting to be the top of your fucking playing field. You know what I mean? Yous are in the top 5 fucking top podcasts in Britain. That's remarkable. Especially where you came from, James. Especially where you came from, fucking Sean. Getting dragged back for fucking America after serving time in that fucking hellhole out there. You know what I mean? So, the two of you have got great stories to tell, right? The two of you have got great guests that are coming on and you can have on, you know what I mean? Just stay in your lane, you stay in your lane. Trap lawsuits against each other and all that. Just don't mention each other again, you know what I mean? And maybe try and get each other's number and get each other a wee phone and just try and sort it through a phone call, you know what I mean? And just stop all the online shit, because do you know what? It only feeds the trolls. That's what it's doing, is feeding trolls, so you can be trolled and the argument can be kept going because your trolls instigate it, right? Now, that's my thoughts on the so-called podcast wars. It's not a war, you know what I mean? It's two men that have had a disagreement, you know what I mean? That's all it is. Two men that have had a disagreement. It should be sorted with a phone call. That's it. But I would urge Shaun to drop the defamation lawsuit, not to mention James, not to mention Shaun. Stay in your own lanes and just build what you are building, you know what I mean? Because listen, the two of you are fucking fantastic at what you do. You know what I mean? The two of you are gentlemen, right? The two of you have had a hard fucking, like, alright Shaun, you were brought up with, like, you had a good life growing up, right? But then you had a fucking hard life, you know what I mean? You went to jail in America, you know what I mean? County jail and then prison in America. Dealing with Bloods, Crips, fucking Mexican Mafia, Aryan Brotherhood and all that shit, you know what I mean? That's hardcore, you know what I mean? You have got a story and a half, you know what I mean? James was brought up in Postal Park, you know what I mean? There isn't any money in Postal Park. Fuck, if we all put our money together, we still wouldn't have money, you know what I mean? But James went through that to gambling, like losing loads of money, borrowing loads of money and losing it, and like somehow getting near that, you know what I mean? Like, how can you know take your hat off to somebody that beats a gambling addiction when it's thrown in his face 24 hours a day? Like, betting's available 24 hours a day, adverts for it are all over the fucking place. Every high street you walk down there's a fucking bookies, you know what I mean? Every pub you go into there's a fucking puggy machine, you know what I mean? You've got to give a man credit for fucking kicking that, you know what I mean? Like, even if you don't like the man James English, you have got to give him credit for kicking that habit, because that is one habit that is thrown in your face 24/7, you know what I mean? At least with heroin's hidden, you know what I mean? Crack cocaine's hidden. You have to go looking for these things. Alcohol to some extent, right, is in your face, right? But by the time 10 o'clock comes, you're not always served anywhere. You can have bottles in the house, I feel those, right? But it's not the same, you know what I mean? Like, betting is in your mind, you know what I mean? It's not a physical thing, it's in your fucking mind. And his mind was powerful enough to overcome that. And I give him mad props for it, you know what I mean? Like, he's got my deepest respect for it. But that's my whole insight into this fucking supposed beef they're having. But hopefully the guys get it sorted out between them, right? And there's no more animosity, you know what I mean? Because I want to be able to watch James flourish in life, and I want to see Shaun flourish in life too. You know what I mean? I want to see the direction that Shaun's going in, and I want to see the direction that James is going in. I want James to be a role model for all the fucking Waynes that are jumping about Postal Park, Mary Hill, Rock Hill, Lamb Hill, fucking Caudle, the lot, right? I want him to be a role model for all the Waynes of Glasgow, all the Waynes of Scotland. I want Shaun to be a role model for all the Waynes of fucking England and all the people that are thinking about going abroad to fucking, like, commit crimes and all this kind of thing, you know what I mean? All people think gangs are cool and all that, right? He's got a couple of stories to tell you about fucking gangs. But anyway, peace, guys. One love to every single one of these. Respect to both men.